Call meeting order, Monday, May 4th, roll call please.
Mayor Anderson?
Here.
Troy Balloon?
Here.
Steve Kane? Steve Kane?
Oh, he's all yours.
Gerald Deline?
Here.
Troy Doden?
Here.
Art Chap?
Here.
And Teresa Sweden?
Here.
You can do Steve again.
Steve Kane?
Here.
Thank you.
Agenda was sent out on Friday. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Deline so moves. Moving second.
Motion by Deline and seconded to adopt the agenda. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Agenda is adopted. April 20th, minutes. We'll do one at a time. Is there a motion to approve the April 20th minutes?
Boone moves.
King so moves.
Boone second.
Motion by Kane and seconded to approve the April 20th regular meeting minutes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Meeting minutes approved. April 30th special meeting. Is there a motion to approve the April 30th minutes?
Swaggin, so moved.
Doden second.
Motion by Svagan and seconded to approve the April 30th minutes. Any comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Visitors to be heard. Anybody on the Zoom wish to speak about it?
Kong said wanted to, I don't know.
Should be on you.
Scott can speak for a minute for baseball, softball.
Okay. Keep right up all the way
Joy, can you hear?
on the TV. 1 second, Scott.
Yep.
And test it.
But,
Okay. Good to go?
yep.
Okay, the only thing that I was going to bring up, I know it's too late for new things, but for the next meeting is baseball, softball would like to request to name the Northeast baseball field as Jack Lawrence Field. The complex would remain the Grace V. Nelson Complex. Neither field is named right now. So we would ask to be allowed to name the Northeast field after Jack Lawrence.
Do we need to put that on the agenda next time?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't imagine there'll be any objection to that, Scott. We can have that added to the agenda for May 18th. Any other comments, questions?
No, not unless there was any questions, baseball, softball wise, from anybody on the council.
I was contacted by a coach, Scott, asking about our thoughts on starting practice. I told him when we canceled the emergency ordinance last week that it was with the understanding that nothing was starting yet. I think Teresa spoke to you earlier today, maybe. You guys aren't starting anything until your next coaches meeting, is that correct?
Our next coaches meeting will be on May 17th. Both the Legion, the State Legion and the State VFW teeners and most of our league communities have all targeted May 15th as a decision date to whether the seasons will happen or not, or if seasons will be delayed, if state tournaments will be moved. So we wanted to wait till after that May 15th date till we have more information from the state level and on the league level.
So until then, coaches aren't holding any practices, correct?
The only thing I know is there's been a discussion that the Legion would get together in like groups of like 5, really small groups. nobody else has said anything about starting anything.
Any questions for Scott? Thanks, Scott.
Yep.
Don't think any other visitors wish to be heard. Okay. Committee and mayor reports. I do not have any report. Department head report, Wayne Johnson, Finance Office.
So at your seat there is a copy of the March financials. Some of the larger expenses that came through was Nexstar, Gray, and KTTW invoices were accidentally missed in January and February, so that was caught up in March, so the affiliate fees did increase. The recycling center paid the third and final payment of the Utiliv lift truck, which is the forklift, so that is now officially paid, and that was $6,297. The telephone office paid FAR engineers $34,265. The electric department paid Bresco for the east substation $10,601, and they also had VGR engineering of $42,549. And the police department had the 1-year subscription to the Leads Online for $1,335.
A motion to accept the March 2020 financial report.
Move in second.
Motion by Swagan, seconded to accept the March 2020 financial report. Any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Accepted. Special meeting. Election.
So with the election being held on June 2nd, we have until June 9th to officially canvass the votes. So that June 9th deadline misses the first meeting and it's too long for the second meeting. So I'm looking to have a special council meeting to canvass the votes. June 3rd is a Wednesday. I can do it. The 3rd, 4th. Your guys' thoughts? We're getting a lot of absentee ballots in. We've sent out just shy of 70 right now, and we've gotten back 24.
Third work for everyone? Wednesday?
Wednesday the 3rd.
Is it relevant? I mean,
Can we do it 5 o'clock
yeah, I mean, it's not,
or?
we just need to approve, right? 5 o'clock, Wednesday, June 3rd.
Thank you.
Next, do you have anything else, Mike?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. Next item, Jerry's city administrator report.
We want to go through some of our COVID-19 updates as they pertain probably to city-owned properties. Steve, did you get that in the email here around 5 o'clock? If you can follow along, that's great. If not, I'll bring out what we got here. I gave everyone here a copy of it. Did you want a copy? Okay. You got one here? Anyone else need one? Mike, want to look at one? Okay. Anyhow, we want to talk about some of the things, and I think most of the department heads are online here they can weigh in also as we go through what we're talking about here. In the parks, we want to talk a little bit about the playground equipment, where we were at, and kind of where we're heading to with that. We have playground equipment at each, the North Field, which is Grace Nelson, the Bulow Park, and Eagle Parks all have playground equipment, which we have shut down. We have signs posted there. We would like to recommend that we reopen them, knowing that they are not going to be sanitized every day, every hour. People will have to be on their own in order to take care of that. So if parents are allowing their kids to play down there, we do not have available sanitizing equipment every day. So there's going to be some issues there. But we would like to recommend that the playgrounds get open. I know they did in Sioux Falls, so we're kind of following suit there. The shelters that we have available are Grace v. Nelson, Eagle Park, and in Bulow we have the Lions, the old-time shelters in First Dakota is the one by the playground equipment there. We recommend that they stay shut for the time being. We do usually have picnic tables, things like that underneath them that draw fairly large crowds. We would like to see those stay closed at least until we can review again at the next meeting. Again, and then we'll switch on to the ball fields. We have the Lawrenson Field. Grace v. Nelson kind of talks about they play Keener and Legion ball at Lawrenson's, and up at Grace v. Nelson's we got Pee-wees and midgets. Those type of kids are playing there. So I think last time we said the fields would be open to play. We just did not want organized competitive play there. So I think we would agree that we all stay with the ball fields being open for practice for kids to go throw the ball back and forth. Just no organized play, no groups of large people gathering, keeping with the social distancing. So, moving down to the swimming pool, we do have the shelter open. Kelly's got everything ready to go there. We're in tornado season shortly, so we've got that ready to go. The pool vessel is ready within 4 days, 5 days. Kelly, if you talk to the guy about ordering chemicals, it doesn't sound like that's going to be an issue, so we'll give them a couple weeks notice on the chemical and we're ready to go. No reason to have it stored if we choose to do something different with the pool and not open for the entire year. So we don't want that chemical sitting in there all year if we don't have to. Obviously tables and chairs is something Kelly and I talked about this morning. We would like to see if we do open, just bring your towels in, things like that, so we don't have to try to sanitize chairs after each person gets up and down. Tables and things like that. The concession stand, the food pantry, Beresford community cupboard, is not leasing in 2020. We don't have anyone lined up to lease it at this time. I think, Kelly, when we talked, we just like to maybe just leave that closed. If somebody wants to bring in their own snacks or something, we'll provide garbages for them. But as far as trying to find someone else this year, without knowing exact time frames, things like that, it might be in our best interest to leave it closed. We never do receive any. We've never received any rent on it. That's just we thought it was a deal that the community cupboard could use and help offset some costs that they might have operating over here. So that's kind of what we'd like to see happen there. Any comments on any of the first stuff we've talked about? Kelly's available here to help answer anything as we go through the parks and all the facilities we have out there.
So the pool you are going to try to get the opening date then?
Yeah. We still have a June 1st tentative date on that one, Mark, so unless something changes dramatically, we would like to see that open by June 1st.
That's fine with me.
I think we have all of our lifeguards that we hired last time. They're all in the loop and ready to go to work, so.
It's good.
Jerry?
Yeah.
In the parks and the ball fields, I don't think you mentioned anything about restrooms. Are they closed? Or did you say something about that?
It did not. I got it down below.
It's further down?
I do, but I should have had it up above too. Restrooms are going to stay closed until, at least until we determine, probably by next meeting we can take a look at it again.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm sorry about that. The restrooms at the baseball fields, all three, both fields, and then in the Grace, or the Bulow Park would remain closed at this time.
And I'll add to, Kelly and I talked today, after Teresa and Nathan and I talked about the pool, and we're all kind of on the same page on that we're penciling in June 1, and if things improve or stay, hopefully we can do it. And obviously, things are gonna change 10 to 15 times before we get to June 1st, but.
Kelly, anything to add? Muted? Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, anything to add?
Not really. With the next meeting being on the 18th, I'll make sure I get all of the next steps, get the jets put in the bottom, the plugs taken out. Basically, I'll get the pool ready to fill. So if we decide that next Tuesday morning, or the Tuesday morning following the next meeting, should give me plenty of time if we decide we're going to open on June 1st, if that's the way we're going to go. Starting on the morning of the 19th, I should have no problem starting to fill it and get everything going and get the chemicals there in time for all that stuff for the pool. There's countless options just across the state of what people are doing, and we're just going to have to try to figure out what's the best for us.
One thing for next meeting then too is we probably, Kelly, are you still kind of in contact with the other towns around us? I think we
Yes.
need to be able to be ready to put more restrictions on if we're only gonna let Beresford residents or what.
Right. I have another meeting with pretty much the South Dakota Parks and Rec Association on this Thursday. They're going to start, they were only doing them every 2 weeks, but now with everything kind of ramping up, they're going to start doing them every week. And there's a pretty good sampling from all over the state. Most of them are bigger cities than we are, but the joint emails that go out go to a lot of the small towns. So they were going to have some of their higher ups that have been doing it a lot longer than I have maybe throw some stuff together, and said I read about an hour's worth of emails after I got home from work on all the different things that are going on. So I'll have plenty of options, I'm sure.
Thanks, Kelly. We're going to go on to the bridges there. Yeah, we're currently open for golf. I think we, with the weather this past weekend, Ben said we had a real good weekend with people coming down using the course. So we were happy with that. Everything worked pretty good. They're entering through the south entry there. If they need to use the restrooms, they're available. If they just need to go in on the north side there, those are available. We do have food and alcohol available for consumption on the course. They do a good job of prepping that, getting it ready for those people that want to take it out on the course with them. So that option is still available to them. As far as the rest of the clubhouse, obviously no dine-in service at this time, and we would like to continue on with that at least till our next meeting. And the event center has been closed. That's going to take a little longer, I think, before we want that many people gathering together in an enclosed environment. So that's been working pretty good so far. I think we're staffed well, and we're able to keep up with all the hours that they've been open out there. So we'll continue on with the bridges as it is pretty much today. So,
are you thinking the next progression there is maybe patio seating before opening the clubhouse up?
I think.
Is that part of the discussion?
Yeah, I talked to Ben a little bit about bringing a couple, 2 or 3 tables up there where if somebody does come back or wants to eat their sandwich before they take off in their cart, as long as they're spaced apart, there's no reason they couldn't do that. So we just, I think, want to keep them out of the building right now. So, and I think Ben said they were going to try to get some seating out there. So
just a couple tables.
Yeah, just 2 or 3 tables out there, spread them out. Yep. Yep. All right, Jane's on here too. So the library, we've had that closed to walk-in customers for quite some time now. Staff has all been working and available to the customers, phones, email. They've got a lot of books they've been packaging up and sending out the door and receiving the books back, cleaning them, doing all that kind of stuff. So I think they're doing a good job. Talking to Jane, we'd like to keep that closed again, at least through our next council meeting, and take another look at that time. Jane, comments?
She's muted.
Like Jerry said, we are just serving people basically through the door right now. And that does feel, like a safe option at the moment. I think as we see what happens the next 2 weeks, we'll have a bit of a plan in place if we decide to open for some distancing between computer users and that type of thing. So I'll have a written plan by the next meeting if we do decide to open further. We are working on things like online summer reading, because we know we can't have big crowds here for our programs that we normally do. So we're definitely working on those options, and I'll just keep you informed what's going on, and we can see what 2 weeks brings. I think would be the best choice. Any questions? And we do have the Wi-Fi outside the building, so somebody can pull up in their car and use that for their phone or device if they don't have the internet at home. So that does give some more options. And we know that's also at the phone department and City Hall.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jane. Recycling center is currently closed for walking customers. Business customers have been taking their recyclables down there. They have access to that in hours when it's not open. So I was talking to Jeff a little bit this morning, and we've got. He was a little concerned if we opened it up in our ability to get rid of all the cardboard and stuff. We didn't want to overload our recycling center because he said we've been having trouble getting stuff picked up. So Jeff, are you on?
It doesn't look like he is.
He's not. Well, that was the thing I think we'd like to see that maybe open up again if possible, at least to city residents, and provide a mask down there, and keep the door open, the overhead door open, so that people won't have to come in and out. So they just carry in and they walk back out, limiting it to one person at a time to come in. So we put some signage up that way. You can bring your stuff in, drop it off, turn around, leave. We're not going to have people congregating. Bring it. We leave the door open. We think that'd be the safest way to do that. So, but we want to make sure we can get all the product out of there too. So we don't want to get overloaded with all the stuff that'll come in all at once. So we can make sure we have access to get rid of it before we make that. But that'll be our next move there. I think that we can handle that one without too much additional disruption. Liquor store. Again, we are open only for drive-through, off sale. We are recommending at this time that we stay in that mode at least till the next meeting, unless you guys have some other ideas on that. We have talked to Dee and she's okay with doing that. We'd be ready to go on a pretty short notice if we want to open anytime sooner. So. Everyone's okay with that, we'll let her know. We will continue on as is. And at City Hall, we've been using, we've had people come in through the door, and we try to keep them outside in the entry vestibule there. We have all of our staff is working here inside the building. It's been working pretty good, and we still think we're a little too soon to start opening it up just to anyone that wants to come in. We've got the ability to bring people in if we have something that's going to take a little more time, especially setting up utilities, things like that. So we do bring them in the front door if need be, because they do take quite a while to fill out. It'd be awful hard for them to stand out there the entire time. But we limit how many people come in. We limit our contact that way. We can make sure everything is sanitized on a regular basis here at City Hall. So we would like to continue on that way. Elaine, anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. And telephone, electric, and police departments, street, water, sewer. They close basically the same time we do to walk in customers. If they need us, they've got our cell phones. We're available. We can meet with them other places. We just don't want anyone coming inside their offices. It just gives us one more thing that we got to worry about, one more thing that we got to clean when they walk out the door. We just think it's good we're opening things, but we just don't want to move too fast with a lot of the stuff that we're dealing with here and the people that are coming through. So if you guys are okay with most of the things that we've talked about there, I just want to make sure you're in the loop, because you guys will get questions too when people come by, and when's the next time we'll take a look at it, and we'll consider everything again at the next meeting. We may have some different recommendations at that point in time too. Or we may not change anything. We'll soon find out how opening is going across the state. I'm sure we'll find out soon what's happening.
So it's got one question on Canvas Recycling Center. We are gonna open it to Beresford customers one at a time or no?
What we would do, Art, is we'd have the door open. We're gonna, so I don't know that we can limit it to Beresford, but we try to take care of our Beresford customers first. The door is open. You walk, one customer walks in, drops their stuff off, the other one's waiting in their car. When the other car goes away, then they can bring their stuff.
So we're gonna do that right away?
Not right away, not until we determine if we have somebody there that'll be, not until we determine if we have enough trucks that'll take our stuff away.
Next meeting
Because
then?
once we get loaded up, we have nowhere to put the stuff, so.
Review for the next meeting then?
If we can move forward with it before that, Art, we will.
Oh, okay.
So, it's just a matter, Jeff was gonna check with the trucking people to see what their schedule is. He thought last time we talked to him, he said that they weren't even running, so we couldn't have got anything picked up anyhow, so. It doesn't take long, once we start reopening, it won't take long to fill that place up with product, so. That's kind of where we're at on everything that we talked, or all of our city properties. I guess we are open out at the rubble site, we figure that controls itself pretty much. We don't have too much mixing with customers out there, it's just come in and we tell you where to go, so. Mike, you got anything? Okay. Okay, that's all I got there. The Bridges liquor store April revenue numbers, we thought it would be important to keep you guys up to date, kind of how we're doing in each of those businesses. In April, you can take a look at the Bridges Clubhouse revenue. Not much different than 2019, up about 10,000 over 2018. So it's holding its own. You can take a look at our bar food. That's obviously a big number. We had $231 of food compared to years in the past when we had over 7,000. So that's a hit we take. But once we get all of our expense numbers put together, which we'll have for you at the next meeting, we'll be able to tell a little bit better how we did as a revenue versus expense type items. And then we put a little total down together at the very bottom there, and then we did a little further and compared on the next page. It compares you through April from 2013 to 2020. So gives you an idea where we're at. It's nice days make a big difference out there in the board. So pretty good weekend. So take a look at them. Event center, the only revenue we brought in April was deposits for future events. We weren't open for any activities. So what you see there is $1,706 of what we brought in. That's strictly deposits for events down the road. 2020 gives you an idea kind of how we're doing year to date. That's going to be down, obviously. We're going to April, May are a couple of our busy months and out there, and that will definitely have an impact on what happens out there. One on the liquor store, I've highlighted some of the areas there. Off sale liquor in light blue kind of gives you an idea, shows you how we compared to last year and other years. We're only doing drive-through, so this kind of gives you an idea. So off sale beer is up almost over 4,000, liquor's up almost 3,500. Wine is about the same. The big difference is, of course, on sale liquor, on sale beer. That's where we didn't sell any of that, so those dollars are going to be down. How does it compare to 2019? 30,000 down to 19,000. 2017, 18. Differences of 4,000 and 6,000. So there's not a big difference there, but obviously on sale liquor and on sale beer, your profits are a lot more than what you're going to do on an off-sale basis. So again, we'll have budget numbers for you to take a look at, do some comparisons there for the next meeting. We'll try to keep you guys up to date, just going to let you know what's happening in these areas where we've actually had to close and we've got really no choice to do much different than that. Then I also wanted to talk a little bit about sales tax. These come directly from the Department of Revenue's website. You guys can access these things too. We were trying to get some information from the Department of Revenue, and it was just too confusing. So I thought this is probably the easiest way, so you can kind of take a look at comparisons of Beresford from January, February, and March filings. April won't be available until middle of probably of this month sometime. But January they were up about 3%. February down a little, about 1.5%, and then in March we're up 1.66%. This doesn't really show any of the COVID type things, other than maybe the last week of March, when some of the other businesses shut down. But so far, still looking pretty strong for the year.
I don't think it's actually going to show any of it, Jerry, because these are the ones filed in March, which means it would have been based on February's revenue. So we won't see it yet until this month.
Yep. So, and then I also included the budget there for you to take a look at, kind of showing what our first cent is doing. That's the one that really is crucial. First cents, of course, that's what we use in our general fund. So we upped that 25,000 over last year based on previous year's collection numbers. That looked pretty strong all the way back to 2015. And last year we had a real good year, so we upped that a little bit. So I think we're still on pace. We did 500 some thousand dollars last year. A lot of that was attributed to some of the Hendrix Genetics and some of those K&M tire equipment purchases. So those numbers look pretty good yet. We'll continue to monitor those type of things. One thing some of the city managers and administrators have been talking about is your general fund, your tax dollars, your property tax dollars. A lot of them are thinking there'll probably be about a 5% hit on those as far as collectible stuff. It doesn't go away, but it probably won't be collected this year. There might be more delinquent stuff that happens, so we got to watch those numbers as they start coming in too. Those taxes were due by the end of
30th of April.
End of April. So when do you usually get them? Middle of May sometime.
We'll start seeing towards the end of May.
So we'll watch those to see how they compare to last year too. So we kind of have an idea where the funds are going to be, where we need to start watching things a little closer. So that gives you kind of an update on what we got going there. On to the fire department's Silverado. That was the fire department's truck, but that is sold now. They got $6,000 for that, which I think they were pretty happy about that. There's a $600 fee that is paid directly to Purple Wave, so whoever bought it had to pay $6,000 plus the $600 fee to Purple Wave, so $6,600 is what they paid for that truck. We'll get a check usually about 14 to 15 days after it sells. So if you still see it sitting there, the check has been cut. The guy lives down in Kansas, so he just hasn't been here to pick it up yet. And the final thing I have is the Beresford Saddle Club grounds. Mike Anderson and I were talking. Mike's looking for a place to stage all the equipment, all the wire, all the stuff that comes in for the mostly for the power line construction, things like that, in the substation until we have that site ready to go. As those things come in, we'd like to use the saddle clubs as a staging area. There's quite a bit of room out there. We no longer have a lease on that grounds that we're aware of. I couldn't find anything back to 2012, the last time they provided an insurance certificate out there. We haven't had anyone that's came to a council meeting that I'm aware of since that time. So with no leases in place, we'd like to start using that facility for some of the things that we want. And we'll most likely send a letter to whoever was the last person that was in charge of that to ask that they remove all the fencing that they have out there. There's quite a bit of stuff out there that needs to go away. It'll make it a lot easier for us to maintain it and mow it and all that kind of stuff. So unless they have some intent of using it again, but we don't have a lease, we just need to get the stuff out of there. So if you guys are okay with that, we're going to move forward with that.
Jerry, can I say something about that?
Yep.
So, to my knowledge, come August 1st, when, actually July 31st, if that still goes down, the community, or Chamber of Commerce, the festival in the park, I think Chris Anderson was planning on using the saddle club for the tractor pull, as they did back in the Wheels and Squeals days. Had he contacted you?
No.
Okay. I don't want to take up any time about it, but I just wanted to throw that out.
We're going to start on the very west side with the stuff as it comes in. So, but we need it. I mean, for us, it makes sense to have it right there because we're going to be going.
Yep.
Everything's going to be branching out of that area.
Okay. I just wanted to bring that up to you.
So hopefully, if they do have a tractor pull, there's a way that they can work things around the stuff. But I mean, if they can open up the Saddle Club grounds area where they have all the horse stuff, that would give them a lot of space also. So
okay, all right, thank you.
Yep. last thing I got is a substation access road. Mike Hampson, Jeff Heidelbright, I, and Pat Carey, and the DGR engineer who designed the site there, and the 605 company, that's the contractor, all met out there last week or 2 weeks ago after our last council meeting. They started working out there. As always, it seems like there's something that comes up, and when they started moving dirt, there was a pretty soft spot out there, so we had to have some testing done. They came in and we got about a foot of extra of soil that's not suitable to build upon, so we have to take another foot out and bring in some more clay. So it's about a $16,000 fix is what they think. And it's a bid item already, so it's just gonna be a change order. So just letting you know, $16,000 is what they're estimating the cost for that. So there was water coming up in that area, so they got to do something to mitigate the water and bring in some good soils. So that's what's going to happen out there. So just letting you guys know on that one also. Otherwise, that's about all I have, unless somebody's got questions. Any department heads got anything else to add to any of that we talked about? Sounds good.
No items for old business. Moving on to new business, review bids for award bids for transmission line material, substation transmission line.
You guys got all that in your packet there, and I'm not going to go through all of them. If you have a chance to read through them, I think what I would just have you do is take a look at the bids as they go from numbers 1 through 6. All the bids were listed there. The engineers are recommending, obviously, the low bid that met all the requirements and had all the right bid bonds and all that. We did have one bid that came in. They didn't send it to the right email, so it wasn't found until the next day. I got one that came in that was, I don't know, it was FedEx or exactly how it got here, but it was sent via FedEx on the 28th and got here the day after it was supposed to be bid, so we didn't even open that one either. So nothing we can do on that. They were only bid, it looked like they were only going to bid on one item, but it doesn't matter. I didn't even open it because it was past the bid time. So anyhow, so bid number 1 is the steel structures. They would like to award that to Belmont Utility Structures of Belling, Nebraska, $90,665. And we would need a motion on each of these, Tom.
Yeah, and that's the one where there was a bid that came in. It was submitted electronically to the wrong email address. Copy to the engineer, but that was not, I mean, the email address for bidding was clearly set out in the instructions, and they sent it to the wrong one. That's no different than sending it to the wrong city, basically. I mean, so we concur in the engineer's recommendation to go for the lowest responsive bidder, which would be the Belmont Structures.
So Doden moves that we accept a bid of $90,665 from Belmont Utilities for bid number 1, steel structures.
Motion by Doden and seconded to accept the Belmont Utility Structure bid for $90,665. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. 2.
Bid number 2 is the transmission poles. Again, laid out there. You can take a look at all the bidders we had on that. Tech Line Inc. of Fort Worth, Texas, with the lowest responsible bid at $220,026. I'm looking for a motion to approve that one.
So Doden
Make a motion to approve the bid of $220,026 by Tech Line Incorporated of Fort Worth.
Second.
Motion by Kane, seconded to accept the Tech Line Incorporated bid of $220,026. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Bid number 3 was for 115 kV insulators. Again, Tech Line out of Fort Worth was the lowest responsive bidder at $61,141.17, and I'd like a motion on that one also.
I'm going to make a motion to approve bid 3 for 115 kV insulators to Tech Line Inc. of Fort Worth, Texas for $61,141.17.
Doing a second.
Motion by Spagan and seconded to accept Techline Inc. Incorporated Fort Worth insulator bid in the amount of $61,141.17. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Bid 4.
Bid 4 is for conductor, again, Techline Inc. of Fort Worth was the lowest responsive bidder at $84,819.50. Need a motion.
Doden moves that we accept the Techline Inc. of Fort Worth, Texas bid of $84,819.50 for bid lot number 4 for the conductors.
Motion by Doden and seconded to accept the Techline Incorporated bid for conductors in the amount of $84,819.50. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. And 5.
Bid number 5, optical ground wire. I will go with the initials here, SFPOC, would be the lowest responsible bidder at $26,410.
The lower one did not meet specifications, so the engineers rejected that one. There was one for 11,954. That did not meet specs.
So this bid is literally from China.
Mm-hmm.
We have to accept that?
You do? I think they were gonna provide some of the other bidders the product anyway. They just do business a little differently there, is one might suspect. There's nothing in state law that allows you to reject a bid based on the
Country of origin?
country of origin, correct?
Boone moves to accept bid number 5 for optical ground wire from SFPOC in the amount of $26,410.00.
Doing a second.
Motion by Boone and seconded to accept the SFPOC bid for optical ground wire in the amount of $26,410. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bid number 6.
All right, last item we have today is engineered laminated wood pole poles, and we have a bid from Laminated Wood Systems of Seward, Nebraska. Responsive bidder at $235,471.
Boone moves to accept bid number 6, engineered laminated wood poles from Laminated Wood Systems of good old Seward, Nebraska, amounted $235,471.00.
Wait a second.
Motion by Boone and seconded to accept the laminated wood system wood pole bid in the amount of $235,471. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All bids are accepted. Modification of the union agreement.
Chief Shirk had come a couple weeks ago and asked about the potential to modify the union agreement because they'd like to go to in the police department as a 2-week schedule. Currently, the agreement reads that it's a 1-week schedule. They work 43 hours at regular pay, 2 hours of overtime for their 45 hours. He's not asking that the hours be reduced, but that it be a 2-week pay period so that they can work their schedule with some more 10-hour shifts as opposed to strictly being, or almost exclusively 12-hour. So to do that, we need to do a modification to the union agreement. We have sent up to the union a memorandum of understanding that would just say, lay out the terms. So it would go from a 45-hour week with 43 hours of regular pay, 2 hours of overtime, to a 90 hours over 2 weeks with 86 hours at straight time, 4 hours at overtime pay. That's permitted under the Fair Labor Standards Act. Emergency personnel can work more different than regular work week, which most departments are required. The other modification to that that's being suggested that it would be their holiday pay would be reduced to a 10-hour holiday since they'll be working primarily, although not exclusively, primarily 10-hour shifts. There'll still be a few 12s, but my understanding from talk with Mike is it would be primarily 10-hour shifts. So that's been sent to the union for their review. I know he wants to start working on getting a revised schedule going. So I think, did you get a copy to him, Jay?
Yeah, these guys don't have it.
Oh, you haven't sent it around the council? Okay. It would modify the sections of the union agreement. So there's already niches for the police department, just changing it from the 45-hour week to the 90-hour 2-week provision, and then the 10 hours. Any other leave issues would be handled accordingly. You know, a sick day is going to be 10 hours as opposed to 12 hours to take cumulative leave in the same fashion. So, subject to their approval, if you're okay with that, you'd need a motion to adopt the revised or revision to the agreement to accommodate the request from Mike for the officers. My understanding is the officers have been contacted, and Keith, as the union steward, has talked with them, and they're in concurrence with that.
We need a motion tonight.
Yeah, and I think as soon as the union goes through their review, then Mike start working on that.
So we make a motion tonight. Shall I make a motion for modification of union agreement for the police department as previously stated? I'm sure Jack can.
Motion by Schott, seconded to authorize the modification of the union agreement. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Agreement passes so long as they agree. Authorize advertising for full-time police officer.
So this is going to be for a 5th officer, which is, we've been operating with 4 officers for quite some time. Mike, I know, has met with his committee several times, and he would like to move forward with the 5th position as soon as possible. So, any comments from anybody? Or
Where's the additional payroll going to come from?
I don't know.
Well, it's pretty hard to proceed unless we know how we're going to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
We have nothing budgeted in the police budget at this time.
We've talked that we can bring on the full-time, we would reduce the overtime that's being paid right now, and we would also then be able to reduce our part-time salaries that are going out. I feel.
I think the last time we talked, it was roughly, just by doing those, I think it was $30,000 right there. Just by cutting those 2 things.
Jerry, what do you
And I know that, I know it's going to cost more.
Jerry, what do you expect the police officer to cost full-time with benefits and salary?
Anywhere from 60 to 70 if they could take the family, all the way up to 80 if they take family. Because if you take the family insurance back, it adds about $11 an hour to the officer wage, and I would assume it would be in that $20 an hour range for a certified officer.
I already have someone in mind. It's going to be no family. It's just him and his wife. And the last person we did not hire did not take any city benefits. So the last person we hired has free health insurance. So I mean, where we would have paid for him, could help out with this new one. The city's not paying anything for his health insurance. My last hire.
So the reduction in overtime and part-time wages would account for about half then of the expected cost for one more full-time police officer.
Well, there's a couple other line items. I mean, we got some items budgeted for a vehicle. That's about $8,000. That we have different ideas on how we're going to go about that. So it's going to be about half. Yep.
Just to kind of give those that aren't on our committee an idea though, our police chief, last we talked, was scheduled to work 36 days straight. That's not safe. I'm sorry. That is not safe for our town to be having somebody work 36 days straight.
Do we still have somebody out?
Do we still have somebody out?
No, we're training.
So some of that is due to training a new person coming on. We'll have to train the next new person coming on too, but.
The next one coming on will be no training. We'll be right into it. He's worked part-time for us for 4 years.
So it's already occurring.
Smooth transition. Hit the ground running.
And we also had talked in our committee that we need to do some cleanup with the part-time, the number of part-time people we have, people that are just kind of riding our system and not even working for us. I mean, when our chief is sending out a request and gets a one maybe, and that's about it. I mean, if you can't help us out and work, I think, we've talked, we need to start maybe putting a minimum hours in for our part-timers, because if you can't help us out, we aren't gonna let you ride on our system. Swing will make a motion to authorize advertising for full-time police officer.
Delino second.
Motion by Swaggin and seconded to authorize advertising for a full-time police officer. Any further discussion?
I would like at the next meeting for us to see if we can find a way to cut 30,000 out of the rest of the budget so that we cover it. If this is a higher safety need, this is more essential, then where's it gonna come from? I mean, we don't have an endless pot of gold, so. And we're gonna have a lot of debt service going forward after this year's projects and a potential big project with our lagoons out there if we don't get that situation fixed, so. I mean, I know it's important, I'm all in favor of it, but I feel like
There's no way you're gonna cut 30,000 more out of that budget.
not just your budget, other departments too, we have to look at all the departments. And that's why I guess I want some ideas at the next council meeting. Because if you come back and you're recommending a higher, I'd like to have an idea where we're gonna come up with another 30 grand. We have to follow our budget. We can't overspend our budget. There's always stuff that comes up that we have to do anyways. So this is something that we have a choice on. And I'm in favor of it if we know where the money's coming from.
And I don't think it's a bad idea to get some ideas. However, I think we wait till we get towards the end of the year to actually make any budget appropriations or changes. But at least we would have an idea of where we're looking at taking this money and
So
moving
that
it to the
when we start preparing the 2021 budget, we already know those adjustments are gonna come.
Right. Well, and
for
when
the
we
next
get to
year.
the end of 2020, if we know the police department's gonna be $30,000 over, we have to make an adjustment
Right.
to our 2020 budget
Right.
anyways.
Right.
So.
Do you think you could come up with some options where we could identify $30,000? I think that makes sense. I'd rather we find where we might find the cuts versus hope that we have an excess to use at the end of the year.
I agree.
Let's work for the next 6 months to get there. And even if you have to find some nooks and crannies.
I think this
Start buying Angel Soft toilet paper. I mean, whatever, all those things.
I mean, Parks Department has identified a number of cuts. They're not anticipating doing some projects, but I don't think it should all come out of parks. So if you
And
come
I
up with
think
some options.
when this coronavirus hit and the council had asked each department to come up with an idea, I mean, I guess we could
we got those numbers.
use
so we'll
those
look and see where
numbers to
they're
look at for ideas.
Just come up with some options.
I'm all in favor of it, I just wanna know what the plan is, instead of just shooting from the hip.
At least we can kind of gauge the cuts. It's the revenue side that's gonna be real tricky for us to gauge going forward, at least in the next 2 to 3 months, so.
And we have to anticipate that as well.
Yeah, so most, like I said, most cities are anticipating a 5% cut in their general fund taxes, plus, and that for us would be $630,000 right there if they don't come in, so.
And quite honestly, I backed off it because of this whole COVID-19 deal. But then doing the schedules and my part-timers and luckily I got 1 day off this weekend, so my 36 days start over. But when I saw I was working 36 days in a row, there's no way. It's unreasonable.
And with the new scheduling, you said you're able to maybe start in some programs, apply for more grants that would help pay for some of those programs. It's just, you couldn't have done it with the old, or you were tired.
I think we were talking about, I think when we were talking about grants, I think
But you said you can get overtime grants if people are working overtime to get into the schools or doing stuff like that.
Yeah, it's all federal overhead grants.
I know our chief is definitely trying where he can to get the assistance too, so.
I don't think anybody wants to see one person work 36 days in a row. That's my opinion. That's pretty tough for somebody to have to do that. So without, I mean, I hear what you're saying, Troy, but I look at that and I say to myself, wow, how can we do that?
I can't go buy a new car if I don't know how I'm gonna make the payment.
I'm not,
my car might clunk, but I still have to be able to make the payment if I go buy another one.
Right.
So, we still have to know. It's irresponsible if we don't have a plan for where we're gonna slide that money over from.
And I think that's been the holdup the whole time, even when I met it the first time, so.
So you can find some options, right? Is that fair? Come back.
And I'm just gonna throw something else out that I was thinking about when we were talking about budgets just a second ago. And I'm not saying that the Baseball Association, if they do not have their year of baseball, I mean, that subsidy drawdown could possibly be there. I don't know what community aids are doing, but there's, programs, but I'm just throwing that out for thought too in this discussion that, we're crossing our fingers and hoping that the COVID-19 thing is gonna go down, the count, and that we're gonna be able to go back to normal. But that's just a thought that I was having as you guys were discussing budgets and trying to figure out how to cut, so, anyway.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Seasonal hire, Bridges Golf Course and Event Center.
Yeah, Ben would like to hire Becca Nelson, $9.30 an hour, seasonal help in the clubhouse.
Shall I make a motion for the seasonal hire for Bridges Clubhouse Event Center for $9.30 an hour? The person Jerry stated part-time.
Second.
Motion by Shutt and seconded to approve the hiring of Becca Nelson at $9.30 an hour at the Bridges Golf Course. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item, Tyler Lewison.
Kelly put some good information there for you guys to take a look at, and Tyler's at $12.50 an hour right now. He's been working in the parks area, does most of our mechanical repairs and stuff. After he gets done, it is his full-time job, fixing cars. He comes out and works for us in the parks. So they would like to put him in the maintenance repair schedule. He's been with us since 2003. So he would like to move him from $12.50 to $13.20 an hour, which would be the top of the maintenance and repair schedule. Kelly, anything else?
What was he in before this?
Sorry, you caught me on without the mute thing. Nothing else really. The letter kind of says everything.
Grounds and maintenance works where he would have been, but that's tops of that's 10:30. And we don't. That's about the only other thing we have that throws in there. But they could help that he felt. Kelly thinks he feels better, or he should be under maintenance and repair.
I'll make a motion for wage adjustment recommendation for Tyler Lewison. As Kelly, the manager, stated, $13.20 because of maintenance on the repairs, and it's very expensive if you go to Ace Hardware or other places. We already did a price comparison on our hourly wage, and we're going to save a ton of money by giving Tyler a few pennies more rather than pay pretty expensive money for the other departments to fix it at the store.
Is that all part of your motion?
I mean, I just wanted to put it in there because he fixes a lot of lawnmowers and he fixes a lot of stuff. And if you go to Ace Hardware or you go to Randy Moore's and drop it off, you're looking at some serious money.
So do it in the first part of that.
Motion by Shutt and seconded to approve the pay range change for Tyler Lewison to maintenance and repair at $13.20 per hour, as stated by Art Shutt. Any further discussion?
The only thing I wanna say is, are there any other employees that a department head is gonna come to us now that we let one department move somebody to a different category? They're all starting to trickle in. Is there anybody else on our part-time list that we need to just get it over with and move them to a different category?
Yeah, but I got a response to that, Kelly. I mean,
I'm not opposed to any
I
of
think
these.
no one disagrees with this one.
I don't
I think
disagree
everyone-
with this motion. I'm just saying that it's an example of how we let one department make a change and now every department's gonna. So that's my only
You
comment.
can't start doing seasonal hires under the repair and
No.
maintenance. I get Tyler.
He's, yes.
If I could step in for 1 second, it's a little challenging. I probably could have gone in last week with this had I been paying a little better attention, but prior to that, I had never seen the scale. So I'll just say that in my defense.
No, and nothing against you, Kelly, or the
No, I
department.
know.
I just wanted to make that comment that we let one department do something and now.
Can we send out the pay scales to all the department heads again? Two copies to the golf course.
An electronic one and a paper one.
Maybe get one in the mail to Kelly, Greg.
Well,
Just
I
you
think the
know,
point
why?
Teresa's making, and I think next year, the part-time seasonal help comes in under the part-time seasonal category and not these other regular job titles.
Right.
They need to fall under the seasonal part-time help category and not be reclassified just to get a higher wage.
perfect. Could you send council a copy too? Appreciate it.
You got it in your
It's in there.
packet.
Yeah.
Can we vote today?
Let's vote on next place.
All right, no further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to pay the bills.
Doing so moves.
Second.
Motion by Doug, and second to authorize payment of the bills. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to enter into executive session for personnel and legal.
Absolutely.
Motion by Boone, seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?